Last week, Wesselman Woods Executive Director Zach Garcia announced that they would be able to expand the nature preserve by 90 acres. And the city has also finalized plans for upgrades to Wesselman Park. We'll talk more about those developments next on WNIN Newsmakers. I'm April Nading, filling in for Amy Mangold. There are a lot of changes coming to the Wesselman Woods and Park area. Here to talk about the Wesselman Woods expansion is Zach Garcia, Executive Director of Wesselman Woods. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, April. I'm really excited to be here today.
So let's talk about what, for viewers who may not be familiar with Wesselman Woods, give them a quick description of the preserve and what goes on.
Yes, so Wesselman Woods is the largest urban old-growth forest in the United States. So we have one of the rarest ecosystems east of the Mississippi River. I mean, this is
in Evansville, Indiana.
In Evansville, Indiana, smack dab in the middle of the city. I mean, this ecosystem is so rare, so unique, and we have it here. It is such an asset. So being the largest urban old-growth forest in the United States, we are also a national natural landmark, and we're a designated state nature preserve. Now, what do we have at Wesselman Woods? Well, around 5 miles of trails, and then we also have our nature playscape, where it's not in the nature preserve, so kids can run around in 5 acres in the nature playscape. We have programs for adults, for children, for retirees, and numerous volunteer opportunities. So we have a lot going on, April.
And it's open for people anybody can come in and enjoy these different things. So that's pretty exciting, really, and it's a great opportunity for families.
Yes,
too.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, tell me about the added land. I mean, how did you get it, and where is it?
Oh, yeah. So Wesselman Woods, it was 220 acres for the past 50 years, and this year we added 90 acres. So around 42 of those acres is with a purchase that Wesselman Nature Society, our organization, purchased. And that's to the southern area. Now that property was previously owned by the University of Evansville, and we just purchased that through some help through our donors and through the Next Level Conservation Trust.
Well, what was on that before, when U of E had it?
Yep, so there were soccer fields and baseball diamonds.
Okay.
Yep, and then we had help from the state of Indiana, their Department of Natural Resources. We, for that specific land, it was a little nerve-wracking. There was a whole panel of folks from Department of Natural Resources and a big U. And Wesselman Woods, we got our grant in. We were the first ones to get our grant in, to get our materials. And I was not playing around when it came to purchasing this land. And I got up there and in front of these 25 people making this decision, and I just told them about Wesselman Woods, what it is, the asset it is for, Evansville, our region, our nation. And they agreed to give us $1 million for the purchase of this land.
So you said part of it is from you, that U of E had. Where's the rest?
Yep, so the rest was a gift from the city. Okay. So the former Par 3 in Wesselman Park, that shut down, I think, in 2020, and the city gave it to us as a gift so that we could steward and manage that land as well.
So what will you be doing with these additional 90 acres? I mean, that's a lot. I assume you're not going to be putting out crops and farming.
Yes, no concrete, nothing of that sort, no crops. We're going to be regenerating those plots of land. So for the Division Street property, which was formerly University of Evansville's property, that we're looking at turning into a bottomland forest. So a wetland forest, which is what Wesselman Woods is. So that's what we're looking to do there. In time, we're looking to have interconnected trails going through that space, but first we want to get that wetlands established there.
Now, how long will that take, do you think?
It's going to take time. I mean,
and that just won't happen overnight.
No, it will not. We live in a society of instant gratification now, and people want stuff like that. And in the business of forest and silviculture, it doesn't work like that. We have to be thinking in decades when we're making these decisions to create a forest. So it's going to take, someone joked yesterday, well, it's just going to be a few short decades. I like to think of it like that as well. But it's going to take decades to create this forest, these environments. Now with the former Par 3, we're looking at regenerating that as well. But we want to do it a little differently. Of course, we could purchase trees and start planting them there. However, we need to understand the ecological integrity of Wesselman woods. We have trees that are 400 years old in Wesselman woods. Those trees have seen heat, they've seen cold, they've seen dry, they've seen wet. Their genetic markers are what we need to combat climate change. Those trees are going to be the leaders that can withstand what we're going to be feeling in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. So what we're going to try to do is get a seed bank basically from the old growth forest, germinate that, and start planting that into Par 3. So I'm not just talking about creating a forest, I'm talking about creating a forest that can withstand and can combat climate change. It's local solutions that are going to, solve global issues. And
so we were talking about you're going to take the trees from where you already have. They're not coming in from somewhere else.
Exactly.
And then you're going to put them there.
Exactly.
That's simplifying it. But
yes. Yep. Exactly. We think about biodiversity by species, but we need to be thinking about diversity when it comes to genetics. And those trees have genetic material that it's so rich and it's healthy, and that's what we want for Par 3.
So how do you do that? How do you take something from those trees without destroying them in order to put them?
Great question. I was just talking with a professor at the University of Evansville, and we're trying to identify what species of tree are the oldest, we often see in the forest, but when it comes to regeneration in the forest, what aren't we seeing a lot of? And trying to collect those seeds. So for instance, hickories, pumpkin ash, oaks, and black gums. These trees we see in Wesselman woods. Those are some of our oldest trees. Our task is going to be, how do we get those seeds? How do we get perhaps seedlings as well, and replanting those into Par 3.
Okay, because I would say I don't know much about forestry, but I would also think there would be other things besides the trees, like maybe ferns and other plants and things like that have to go along with it.
Yes,
right?
April. Yes, I'm so happy you said that. That was part of our conversation as well, is also looking at the ferns that we have, the herbaceous species, the undergrowth, the understory species as well. So redbuds, ironwoods, dogwoods. I mean, those species make up the forest as well. And how do we get those species onto Par 3 as well?
So that's why I can assume it must be a big committee that's working on this to study it and decide how to do that. And I mean, are there other models you've looked at in order, okay, this is what they did, rather than reinvent the wheel. So we're going to do that.
Yeah, so we're looking at a number of restoration ecology examples. But when it comes to taking old growth material and putting it into a space like this, no one else is doing this.
So the world will be watching.
Yeah.
Wesselman Woods.
Yes, and I think that's what I am so excited for, and I want our community to be excited for. This, we have such a great opportunity in this city to reforest a plot of land with old growth material. New York can't do that. Chicago can't do that. San Francisco can't do that, but we can do that.
In little Evansville, Indiana.
Yep.
So are there any other exciting developments coming up for Wesselman Woods?
Yes, I think also on Part 3, so reforesting with that old growth material, we're also thinking of developing a new nature center. So a new nature center that would act as a visitor center to Wesselman Woods, to Roberts Park, to Wesselman Park. So when people come in, they know, hey, where can I go? We can distribute them to where they need to go.
And would that also include other animals? I know that, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the current one, has the turtles and some stuff like that when you come in. So maybe different animals in the other one? Or?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We haven't gotten to that point yet. But definitely having interactive educational features in the new nature center. For this nature center, I have a vision that it would, when you go to Columbus, Indiana, a lot of people go for the architecture. You go downtown and you see the architecture. I wanted that this new nature center, if you don't even know anything about forestry or the environment, you go to look at this nature center for the architecture. I want it to be a piece that people are like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And this new nature center, I wanted a community gathering space. So community groups can meet there. Again, interactive, educational, and state-of-the-art, thinking outside of the box when it comes to environmental education. What type of exhibits, what type of features do we want in there that, that no one else around has?
And that people want to see.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for sharing. It sounds pretty exciting.
Thank you, April. Thank
welcome.
you so much for having us.
The city of Evansville has spent the last few years drawing up plans for Wesselman Park and the area where Roberts Stadium used to stand, which are adjacent to Wesselman Woods. Those plans are mostly finalized. Here to give us the details is Danielle Crook, Deputy Director of the Evansville Department of Parks and Recreation. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me about the areas that are included in these plans.
Sure. So there is so much exciting that is happening in Wesselman's right now, and that will be happening here soon. So first, probably on the forefront of everybody's mind is the 16 pickleball courts. It is one of the fastest growing sports. It will be such an asset for our community, just for them to be able to participate, to learn, for families, free opportunities, as well as host tournaments as well. In addition to that, we have the Gateway, which is not only going to be more attractive, the new entrance that will be going into Wesselman's, it will also be safer. And that is a key component in that aspect of that.
Safer how?
Safer how? So additionally, there potentially will be a road diet there, so as well as signals for crosswalk. The entrance will be wider. Right now, if you've ever driven in there, it's a tight turn to get in and out. As well as the trail system expanding. So that's going to provide a safer opportunity for walkers, runners, bike riders. Right now they're kind of fighting against the traffic. So we are very excited about that component of this.
Well, that's pretty, I mean, that's really neat because to make it safer like that. Now, what about, let's back up to the pickleball for just a second. I honestly haven't played pickleball. So I guess one of my first questions would be, why were people opposed to this? I mean, I know there was some dissension amongst people in the community about adding pickleball courts.
Sure, totally fair question. So in essence, the proximity to the woods, people were concerned that we were taking over some of the nature preserve, which is not the case. And actually leads me to speak on the fact that there is so much land that is given to Wesselman Woods for reforestation. So the area is actually going to grow. The old growth forest, it is a phenomenal opportunity for Wesselman Woods, for Wesselman Nature Preserve, in addition to the park itself.
So people don't need to worry about the pickleballs going off into the woods and disturbing the forestation or anything like that, is what you're saying.
Correct. So the location of the pickleball courts is actually adjacent to the current existing tennis courts, and there is green space that still will be added in the front of those courts or left there. And yes, there is a substantial distance between the courts and the nature preserve.
So pickleball is actually fairly new. I'm not exactly sure when it started, but so they do have tournaments and things that would be coming to Evansville. Is that what you had alluded to a while ago?
Yeah, so the 16 pickleball courts gives our community the opportunity to put in bids to host state and regional tournaments with those 16 courts. They can be used in conjunction with the existing tennis courts to provide opportunity to host those tournaments, although the main focus of these courts is for the general public.
Oh, okay. So what is the timeline as far as these improvements you've been talking about?
So the first and foremost is the pickleball. That construction has just begun, so that is starting now. Part of the trails and the road that will be going through the Roberts Park, Wesselman Park area, those are set to begin potentially the end of this summer. And then the entrance will begin sometime after that.
And then when do you think that'll be finished? I mean, actually, there's got to be a grand timeline here that is probably going to be several years, I would think, for some of it. I mean, pickleball courts will be done sooner, obviously, but...
Yes, potentially. So a lot of this work on the things that I mentioned will all begin before the end of this year, which is very exciting. As far as an ultimate timeline for the full plan for Wesselman Park, that's to be determined.
Okay. So let's talk about some of the other things going on with the Parks Department. I know they've started the demolition of Lloyd Pool Building. What are they going to be doing with that, and when do they expect that to be finished, whatever they're doing?
Sure. So that demolition just began, I believe, last Thursday, and we don't have a timeline on completion yet, but that is ongoing, and it shouldn't take long. After that, we're looking at what is the best fit for the area. Is that a splash pad for the community? What is that? There are so many opportunities right there for the public, including the Northwoods Trail, including the playground, including the ball fields that are right there. So we just need to see what is the best fit for that area and figure out what the best use of that space is.
So ideally, it's something that would tie into the things that you already have.
Yes, absolutely.
Saying. Okay, but not a pool.
Not a pool. No, that is not in the current plans.
Gotcha. So the renovation of Fulton Park has also begun. What is going on there?
So there is an exciting collaboration with 19.9, and they have committed to refurbishing that basketball court and providing opportunities for the community. And so the initial stages of that court refurb has started, and they will be doing a really awesome artistic piece. There are photos floating around. If you haven't seen them, it is really neat. And just kind of bringing basketball back to life in that area and providing opportunities for individuals who may not otherwise have them. So we are really excited about the collaboration. In addition to that, there will be improvements with the Parks Department's help, of course, in terms of lighting and potential bleachers, playgrounds, all kinds of things planned for that area in the future.
Now, where exactly is Fulton Park that you're talking about? It's obviously off Fulton, but I'm trying to picture in my head where.
Yes, and I am not the best direction giver,
okay.
So that is not my forte.
That's okay. Well, what is 19.9 that you said that you're collaborating with? What is that?
Sure. So this is an outreach for them, and they are a local business that are based out of Evansville, and they do different kind of merchandise, specifically basketball themed merchandise, but they have partnered with a bunch of different organizations in the area to give back to the community, and they actually are the ones that had reached out to the Parks Department about their idea to refurbish Fulton Park.
Oh, wow.
So,
well, that's neat how that comes together then. With the,
yes,
wow.
Absolutely. The department could not do what we do without community participation and collaboration, and so all of those partnerships are very valuable and benefit everyone.
So what about some of the prep work for Sunset Park skating area has been done? What's the timeline for that project?
So the initial timeline for the skate park was mid to late October. Right now, Hunger Skate Parks, which is a very well-known skate park designer, one of the few in the nation, they are currently finishing up other projects, so our timeline is a little bit based on when they're able to get to us here in Evansville. So that is the next and most exciting phase of the project that everyone is waiting for. Once Hunger arrives, then we'll have a clearer timeline of when opening day can be.
Wow. So what is that going to involve? I mean, what's the vision for that skate park?
Just a community space. Our community has needed a new skate park for a while. Swander Ice Arena used to have a skate park that had to shut down many years ago. Lamasco Skate Park has been around for a very long time. Lots of the community groups have just rallied together and have been fundraising and really pouring their hearts and souls into being able to add this asset for the community. So,
well, when you look at something like that, do you try to model it after any other cities, you know, like skate park? Like I know I've driven by the one in Louisville, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go about that, deciding what you want it to look like?
So being able to consult with companies like Hunger, this is what they do for a living, and they have made some of the most phenomenal skate parks. So this will definitely be a destination skate park. This will be a skate park that people from other communities want to come visit, and that's the goal. Something not only on the riverfront for the community to enjoy, but to bring other people in and be able to experience that as well.
Huh, that sounds pretty exciting, actually. And I assume they probably have their own tournaments and stuff with skate parks. I mean,
I know that at Swander Ice Arena they used to have different skateboarding competitions and things, and I would assume that this would not be any different.
So, are there any other projects coming up that you'd like to talk about, or?
Oh my goodness, so much going on. It's hard to wrap my head around all of it, actually. Right now for the Parks Department, we are really excited. City swim teams have just kicked off. So first swim meets were last night at Lorraine and Howell Pool, and that's a wonderful resource for the community. The pools have all now opened, and we're really excited about that as well. We were able to reopen Lorraine Pool this year, and we're really thankful to be able to do that. So I think right now we're focused on swimming and pools and sports and just getting these projects underway. But yes, definitely more to come.
How did it go with getting lifeguards this year? I know that's been a problem in the past.
So getting lifeguards is always a struggle. Lifeguards have to get certified. It's a big commitment for youth and adults to be able to make that commitment. And with school schedules, we have a lot of college students that come in, and so but we've been very pleased with the staff that we've been able to get for this year. We can always use more, so if there's still people out there wanting to lifeguard, absolutely reach out to the department.
Okay, all right, well, thank you so much. I mean, it's very exciting stuff going on. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Now let's enjoy a few moments with the sights and sounds of Wesselman Woods. Thanks for joining us to learn about the exciting developments at Wesselman Woods and Wesselman Park. Next week, we'll be looking at how our local workforce is doing. Thanks for watching WNIN Newsmakers.